Hello and welcome, this is rooflemonger, and this is my tips and tricks guide for Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat 11. So if you're not familiar with the tips and tricks guides, generally speaking, I take you through multiple aspects of the character. I want to go through the basic stuff here, the move list, all that kind of stuff. I want to tell you the moves you should be looking out for, the ones you really gotta value more than other moves, and some just general tech and other advice. So without any further ado, let's just start with the start here, and we'll just go over his special moves. So first let's cover his base moveset. We're going to talk about the two competitive variations in a moment, and we'll cover the specific moves for those there. So his base moveset, first and foremost, back forward one, is the spear. So the spear is not amazing. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It is not amazing, but it's serviceable in its one job. So the startup is not great. The damage is not great. In fact, it's below average for projectiles. But what it does do is it has a very large amount of hit stun. As you see, the enemy is just kind of stuck on the spear just a little bit before they fall down. So the idea is you're from roughly full screen. You throw your fireball, they throw their fireball. You're going to trade. You're not going to get as much damage. But what's going to happen is, for the most part, against most of the cast, you are going to recover quite a bit before they will, and then you can just kind of work your way in. And that's the main gist of it. Due to the height he throws it from, smaller characters with the more slender hitboxes can literally walk right underneath it. It has some trouble hitting certain characters. This main use is simply, if you got nothing better to do from full screen, you might as well give it a shot. And due to the advantage of the hit there, then you can just kind of mosey your way in, trade or no. So it's basically you just trying to work your way in after the hit happens, and that's the main use. You're not going to win a fireball war unless you have a massive health lead. It's not a game plan in and of itself. It's just there to basically harass the enemy. Next up, we have the scum grab. So that's down back one, and it's pretty much just an anti-air grab. So as an anti-air grab, it's perfectly serviceable. Has very quick startup here. Can't be too slow though, I see, but it does also have a fairly strong reach. The one thing about it, and we'll talk about it in his notable normal section here, the issue with the scum grab is not its in fault in any way, shape, or form, but just the damage is a little bit low. And yes, you can indeed EX it to get more damage, so you can get 17%. But overall, it's just not as good as the base uppercut. He has one of the best base uppercuts in the game. So the main use is basically if you actually want to switch sides. So if you actually want to switch sides, then it's great. Also, sometimes in a jump, you might not have the mental reaction time to get that uppercut off. And in that case, the scum grab does indeed start up faster. It'll hit the enemy faster than the uppercut will. So in a situation where you have just a split second, I guess the scum grab will serve you better than the uppercut will to be able to react. But all in all, considering how strong his general uppercut is, and plus, he has the stand one, which will have its own section for anti-airs here, overall, it's just kind of unimpressive as an anti-air move, considering he already has a very strong anti-air suite and other things. So next is the shoulder charge. That's back forward 3, and this is one of his most signature moves, especially as a boss character over the years. And it's mostly going to be used in combos because it has 2 EX follow-ups, and one, the base EX Amplify follow-up, is a launcher. From the launcher, you can get your combo. Don't drop it like me because I'm recording this live and mistakes happen, but you get the idea, right? It is, for the most part, your combo extender in every conceivable combo except for a couple corner combos. You get your hit confirm, you go into it, that's awesome. Now, it also has a secondary follow-up. If you hit down and amplify, it'll have a secondary follow-up as an overhead. This has some mild use if you're going to dump both of your bars in a longer combo, that the overhead will connect when basically nothing else will. Like if you try to launch, the gravity scaling is going to be so high, you're just not going to be able to get anything off of it. So at the end of some exceptionally long combos, this has some use. Now, if this could come out on block, which it cannot, then it might have some use there if the first it got blocked. But for the most part, the launch is strictly superior in pretty much every single way. So that's just how it works. Also, now the startup, while I wouldn't classify it as fast, it certainly isn't slow either. So you can actually punish some moves from roughly this range on block that basically nothing else in his arsenal will let you punish. Like back 2 won't quite have the range, forward 2 will be too slow, that kind of stuff. So in that regard, it's actually pretty decent as a punisher depending on the situation. Certain other moves like that are still faster, but it's no slouch. Shao Kahn has the hammer lunge, so that's down back circle. And it's just a big old leap here with his hammer, kind of as advertised. Now this also has an EX follow-up. And the one thing that's really good about this is you can slightly delay the X follow-up, not too much, but very slightly. And while the move itself is safe, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, well, you know, I blocked it, it's my turn, I'm going to hit a button, right? And if you ever so slightly delay it, whatever button they hit, you're going to beat them out and just give them the, give them the old spear, right? So you can aim this here as well. So you can hold back and do it closer. You can hit forward and do it far. Now, one thing, a lot of projectiles that are lower to the ground, like say Cassie's bullets, in the one variation, you can leap clear over those and just smack them on the other side. So if you're a little frustrated and want to jump those bullets, you can go right for it. Now, keep in mind that's only certain cases. Other cases, like once again, let's use Cassie in a normal straight gunshot. You're just going to jump right into those bullets. So user beware on that one. Also, one thing here, if you are in the corner, you can totally follow up after it, as you can see right there. So that's really handy, and you can use 1-4 to combo directly into it. As far as I know, stand 1-4 is the only way you can combo into it. Now, let's talk about the two competitive variations for Shao Kahn. So he has Risen Emperor, which is the one we have currently. Has Annihilation, Up Wrath Hammer, and Dark Priest as special moves. And we'll talk about True Kahn in a split second here. But the main thing between these two competitive variations, as of the time of making this video, Shao Kahn is unfortunately kind of considered to be one of the lesser characters in the game. Let's put it that way. And the main reason to pick the competitive variations, long and short, it's just going to come down to Annihilation. Just to tell you guys, honestly, a lot of these moves are just not very good. Annihilation is simply, of the 6 moves between 2 variations, is the best move you got. So let's just talk about Annihilation real quick here. Annihilation is your combo ender. So if you do whatever combo here, you generally speaking are going to end in Annihilation. Gives you a nice little chunk of damage here. Leaves the enemy fairly close by to you, and you have strong advantage, and you're just basically on top of them. Yeah, you got to worry about wake-ups and all that kind of stuff. That's just how the game works. This is the best way to end your combos for damage, and generally speaking, it's gonna you're gonna end pretty much every combo if you're playing this variation. Also, it does have an EX, so if you're looking just to squeeze a little bit of extra damage, you can, and that's basically the long and short of it. So this is the main reason you pick this variation, is that specific move. Now let's talk about the other stuff, and hopefully in the future it gets a little bit of a buff and makes some of the other stuff more useful. Dark Priest. So it buffs the hammer. As you see here, it's a nice old big old shade of green. And all hammer moves here, so that did 22, that did 20. All hammer moves do more damage. They do about 10% more damage than they would otherwise. This does not affect anything that doesn't use the hammer, just so you know. Only the hammer itself. But also, just so you know, this also affects your throws. As you can see there. Throws also get a damage boost. So that did 200 normally. This would only do 140. And this affects the back throw as well, because both of them use the hammer. So keep that in mind as well. The throws get a pretty significant buff. Also, when you're in this, your Annihilation move becomes a Crushing Blow, from which you can follow up if I didn't drop it, but you get the idea, right? So if you can get it off, then it's great. That's the problem with this move, is if you can get it off. It has, as you can see here, startup is 83 frames, recovery is 82 frames. Making this an incredibly slow move overall. There's basically no distance you can safely activate this. Even if you had like a specific combo route to launch the enemy and then, try to get it. The enemy will still recover very easily. See here, hit advantage 37. The enemy has all the time in the world to either walk up and hit you or do a special move or whatever. There's no real way to make this safe to use, and that's kind of the downside to it, unfortunately. Now we have Up Wrath Hammer. So a little bit on the nose here. He just chucks up the Wrath Hammer and just kind of flies up and flies down. So it's serviceable enough as a check if you got no meter to burn. So if you're like trying to counter poke and like smack him here, you can hit him with the Up Wrath Hammer. You can also control it, by the way. You can make it land closer. That's all well and good. But the problem is this: if the enemy blocks it. So say the enemy is set to block everything. There's 2 layers of issues here. So first, there's a gap there. And yes, if they try to jab you or throw you or whatever, the hammer's going to smack them, right? And you win the trade. But the problem is they also have enough time to just plain old uppercut you. And you will not win that trade. They'll take 5%, you'll take 14% from the uppercut. So Every time you do this, unless you have a massive health lead, they can uppercut you and win the trade, and that's no good. Also, since they have time to uppercut, they can just easily flawless block and get a full combo punish as well. So the use of the move is a little suspect, honestly. It's decent when you have a massive health advantage, because it's only -1 on block, as you can see here. Sometimes, depending on character hitboxes, it's actually 0. Taller characters will be -1. And it's just very risky to use. Only use it if you have a health lead, or if the enemy doesn't know, I guess. But abusing their lack of knowledge is not necessarily proving you're a better player either. So, unfortunately, this is another move which is not that great. Once again, Annihilation is the reason you pick this variation. So the other competitive variation is Shao Kahn, and it has Ridicule, which is 2 moves actually. There are 2 different debuffs here. One lets you take do more damage to the enemy, and the other one makes the enemy do less damage to you. We have Ground Shatter here, which is a true low. So you can see here, actually it does hit low, and can be EX as well. And that's a double low, by the way. And Wrath Hammer. So we have our spear, and we still keep the spear. This is a different projectile. This is back forward 2, and he chucks it. Now this is a true mid, so some characters will have some issue trying to neutral duck this. It's a lot, honestly, in every conceivable way, it's basically a better projectile than the spear. Still does the same kind of lower end damage, but still it travels in a straight line. You can't just walk underneath it, so that is pretty handy. So this variation does not have the Annihilation move, which is the main combo ender. So when you're ending combos, you're basically, for the most part, doing juggles, doing the shoulder, which is less damage and not as much advantage. But yeah, Ridicule, as you can see here, so say we do a combo here. You know, 34% mid-screen, that's pretty decent, right? Because they have the big debuff. And the other one, I believe, makes them do about 25% less damage. Now, if they're under the debuff here, your 4-3-4 string into 1-3 becomes a crushing blow, and you can get a significant amount of damage. You can see there. That is certainly not chump change, but it has the same problem that the Dark Priest buff has. I see here, it's over 100 frame startup, over 100 frames recovery, which is even slower than Dark Priest. So it has the same issues, that you will never do this and not get punished for even trying it. That's the big issue. No matter what, you're gonna get beat up real bad for trying it anywhere on screen. There's no way you're not getting hit for doing this move. And that kind of makes it a dead move, like, to be brutally honest with you. Ground Shatter, since it's low, you can kind of turn this one string here. So 4-3-4 is high overhead. So, or sorry, 4-2-4, my bad. And you can tune 4-2-4 into forward into Ground Shatter, 4-2 into Ground Shatter, and it comes high-low. So it's kind of a quasi 50-50 in a way. You might be able to fuzzy block it, I'm not sure, but in the end, it's not much. There is a restand for this, just so you guys know. I am aware of that, but the problem is the restand leaves you so negative. The enemy can full combo punish you, so there's no point in it, because you're only hurting yourself. But yeah, it's a low, but Shao Kahn is not hurting for good lows, as we'll go over later. The lows are some of his best stuff, so it's not very important. And Wrath Hammer is probably the best move in this variation, but you're not playing Shao Kahn in the zone. And while it's certainly better than Spear, it's certainly not up to, you know, like Garrus Sandpit or Sonya Rings, right? So this is not really going to help you in a zone war. Just like the Spear's not going to be a big help for you. So overall, between the two, Risen Emperor is definitely the winner. And mostly just because Annihilation's the combo ender, and that's basically it. Now, let's talk some of his normals. So, you know, your basic normals and strings that you have. So, Shao Kahn might not be the strongest character, unfortunately, at least at the time of this video. A couple months from now, if you're watching, maybe he's the best character in the game, I don't know. But what he does have is a nice little toolbox of normals. Like, I would say even above average compared to the rest of the cast. The only problem is, you know, you need more than just your normals, but still, let's just go over them. And first off, let's talk his down 4. So down 4, as you see here, it has 15 frames of advantage and 10 frame startup, and he low profiles like crazy. So he's lower to the ground than his regular ducking self, and you can go under things that you probably shouldn't be able to go under. And once again, since this is lightning quick, it's just really strong. It's a nice little poke here. You can chase afterwards and follow up. We got a whole section here on what we call jailing. If you're not familiar with the concept, we'll talk about it a little bit. And down 4 is very, very strong in terms of jailing. But yeah, it's just good. Now, maybe it's not behooving of a con to just like get low to the ground and kick your shins nonstop, but you got to go with what works, and this works. As a poke, is incredibly effective. Now, keeping on the 4 train, because all of his 4 buttons are pretty good, we have back 4, and that's the sweep. So the sweep is 13 frame startups, it's a knockdown, has 28 frames of advantage, which means it'll link to the forward 4 if they don't delay and, you know, don't try to wake up or whatever, right? We'll talk about that in a little bit too. It has strong, just knockdown, you have so much advantage, so you can do this, like jump clean over, jump in 2, and smack them on the other side, as long as they don't like roll or, you know, delay their wake up. And then, of course, you can go from there. The range, obviously, as you can see here, is pretty dang decent here. And it's just a way to get in. Also, it is only -2 on block. So if this move gets blocked, and once again, too, he lowers his profile so he can go under certain things while doing this. If this gets blocked, it's kind of whatever, right? You basically force each other into a down 1 check. Because it's so, like, little negative on block that the enemy can't really go for anything big without the fear of you just down 1ing them back and trying to steal your turn back. So the sweep is really good. The down 4 is really good. And to round off the 4 train here, forward 4 here, the big old boot. Yeah, it's a little bit on the slower side, but it's advantage on block, and we'll talk about that in its own section. But yeah, so the suite of his 4 attacks is all pretty decent. So let's talk 4-2-1. So yeah, it's a high starter. You can duck it. You can, you know, down 2, uppercut, punish it, all that fun stuff. But in the end, the range is still crazy. So we just barely missed there. That's roughly the range. So for a combo starter that's easily hit confirmable, that outranges pretty much most of the cast for free. So maybe it has the weakness of being a high, yes, but like other characters have really strong normals, you know, like say Cabal or something, or Scorpion. They can't hit you from this far away, right? So that's the one thing he has, is the incredible range of 4-2 is just absolutely absurd. It has a weakness, yes. It is slower too, but you know, when you're starting from roughly this far away, the slowness is not as big of a deal, and it's just an easy hit confirm combo, and just that's all you need. It's just long range and reliable. Forward 3-4. So forward 3 is his fastest mid, 10 frames, and we got another whole section dedicated to this move because there's a lot more to it than just this little shin kick he's doing here. But yeah, so it's a fast mid, and he struggles for fast mid, so it's good. Forward 3-4, the 4 is a low. It is safe on block. There is a gap that they can flawless block, just so you know. Now, it can't lead to any special cancels, but it can lead to a can combo. You hit your throw here, and you do a little bit of a backbreaker there, a little bit of a Lex Luger, and you'll dump him on the other side. So very useful if your back's to the wall, because you can just then dump him in the corner. And sometimes, you know, since you can't do anything else, you might corner yourself because you just want to get that damage right. 194 is almost 20%. And you need something quick that's a mid, and this is what it is. So you take with the good with the bad. You can get an easy 20% pretty much every time you dump them on their head, and just go from there. So this is a critical tool. You gotta use the 4-3. It is just, he has very little options up close. That's quick, other than just like down 4. But you know, down 4 doesn't combo or nothing, right? This can get you your backbreaker and get some damage in, and it has a lot more, which we'll talk about in its own section. Down 2, just real quick, since we talked about it a little bit when we're going over the basic moves here. Down 2 is one of the best uppercuts in the game. The angle is very strong. It hits a basically like a 270-degree arc. There's a bit of an uppercut disparity in the game. Some people have better uppercuts, some people don't have better uppercuts. I can tell you right now, Shao Kahn has one of the best uppercuts in the game. Quick start up here. It says 9 frames, so 9 frames is when it hits like a grounded foe. It'll take it like an extra frame or 2 to hit the airborne foe. But still, overall, absolutely one of the best uppercuts in the game. Also, if you get the crushing blow, it leads to a lot of damage here. I'll show you a quick example. So, over 400 damage just for a simple uppercut crushing blow. That's pretty good. A lot of people get a lot of damage off their uppercut crushing blow, but not that much. So, yeah, just once again, eminently one of the best uppercuts in the game. So, standing 1-4, this is your high hit confirm. This is also much safer on block than, say, stand 1-2. This is only -3 on block. In the corner, it can combo right into the jumping Wrath Hammer. That's pretty handy, and you get like all sorts of combos from that. As you can see right there. And it's just really good. It's a solid little hit confirm here. Also has a follow-up here if you do 1-4-2. You can get a bit of an overhead. There's not technically safe on block, but there's a lot of pushback. So if you just want to push them back a little bit and get some space, you can do that. Just, yeah, eminently useful in every regard. And speaking of useful in every regard, talk about back 2. Now, back 2 is kind of a secret hero. You can't really single hit confirm off it or anything, but when you're just walking back and you look for a quick whiff punish, like the enemy comes walking to you and they hit a button, they miss, right? Back 2 is generally what you want. Back 2 is quick enough, and then you can like go right into shoulder charge and get your combo, all that kind of stuff. That's one of its main uses. It's also 13 frame mid. Once again, he struggles for quick mid, so this is a quick mid. And yeah, that's kind of the long and short of it. It's just nice and quick, and that's all you need. So let's talk about the concept of jailing, because Shao Kahn has one very strong jailing tool in the corner, and that is his down 4. So, as you might notice here, it says hit advantage is 15 frames. So if we say go right into our stand jab afterwards, see it has 9 frame startup. So if we hit him with that down 4, and we go right into say stand 1-4, then the enemy has to submit to it. They can block. They're allowed to block. This isn't Street Fighter where it's going to link or nothing, right? But they can't neutral duck, they can't, you know, mash down 1 or whatever. They can't mash any buttons. They can't do anything other than block and accept the 1-4. So if they block it, hey, awesome, whatever, right? But if they don't, then hey, you got a pretty strong combo coming. So right here, if they didn't want to block, they take 346 damage. If they did want to block, well then hey, you know, you're -3 in their face. Oh well, right? And that's the kind of stuff that really can create strong conditioning. So once the enemy finally has it beaten their head, you know, they've taken enough of these combos, right, that they're finally just going to accept it, like, okay, I have to block after this. Then, of course, that's when, like, oh, I'm going to throw you, right? You know, or at that point, you know, okay, now I'm going to hit you with a low. Now I'm going to hit you with an overhead. And by the way, he has one of the best hop overheads in the game because the range is very intense, as you can see here. And it just opens up a lot more aspects of the game other than just, okay, now you're going to block and do whatever. Also, then you can get a little bit of sassy, a little bit tricky here. So then if you know they're going to block, you can do something like stand 4-4. And then, you know, just be plus in front of their face again because that move is +6 on block. And just kind of keep stealing turns and adding up the chip damage. This simple concept right here, just off the down 4 alone, it creates multiple layers of threat. And the enemy has to learn to respect it or they're just going to get their head beat in. Now, also, back 2. Back 2 does jail as well into stand 1. And this does this from anywhere on the screen here. This is not just a corner thing here. So if you hit back 2, as you see here, it has 16 frames of advantage. Stand 1, as you can tell, once again, has 9 frame startup. You do have to be a little bit quick on it here. You can't be too slow. But you can get that confirmed right from there. And once again, if they hit any button, then you win, right? They have to hold block. They have to stand. They can't neutral duck it because they're jailed into the recovery frames. There's nothing they can do other than accept it and block. If they don't block, then hey, once again, it's full combo time. And once again, if they do block, then you can introduce more layers, going high or low or overhead, add a throw in there or whatever. You can kind of really create a conditioning element that they have to submit to what you're going to do. And if they don't, well then, you know, you beat them up. Alright, so in the earlier section here, we talked about how important 4-3 is as a move. And why is that? So you can special cancel off 4-3 and go into a combo, you know, unlike 4-3-4, which you cannot special cancel. But, you know, it's hard to cancel off one move, right? Like, you know, if the enemy blocks, you know, it's a little bit difficult in the span of one move to tell if you can, you know, get the combo or not, right? So that's why moves like, so 4-2-1 or whatever, you know, you have the second hit to confirm, okay, I definitely hit, so I can go into a combo. The one thing that's a bit unique about 4-3 in this regard is it has much more cancelable frames than pretty much any other move in the game, at least for a single hit normal. And that means you can actually, the window's a little tight, but you actually can single hit confirm off this. So right now, I'm going to go into the options, and I'm going to set the enemy to block mode to random combo. So they will randomly block a full string if it comes up. So, you know, they didn't block, they blocked, right? I don't know what's going to be next, right? But since forward 3 has so many cancelable frames here, and actually let's just go into the move list just to show you. So forward 3 here has 24 frames of cancel advantage, so you have 24 frames out of 60 frames in 1 second, so a little bit under half a second to assess if you got the hit or not, and then go into a full combo. Once again, this will be tough, but it is possible, and practicing helps. So what I'm going to be doing here, I'm going to hit forward and 3, and I'm going to hit back and forward. So if I get my hit, I just hit X again here, or sorry, well 3. I am playing on PlayStation, so I'll hit 3, and I'll go right into shoulder charge and go right into combo. And if not, I'll hit nothing. It'll just be forward 3, back forward, no button press. All right, so we have a hit confirmed there. So I hit the 3 button after I saw the hit connected. Once again here, so that time they did hit. That time they blocked, so I hit back forward, nothing. And you just got to go like that. Once again, the timing is hard. It is not easy. I wish it was easier, and more to the point, I just wish forward 3-4 was special cancelable, but you got to work with what you got. So right now, forward 3, you just have to be able to hit confirm. Once again, it's difficult. Like, I can't do it every time myself, and in the middle of a match, sometimes that'll happen. You'll overcommit, like right there I just did. I hit the button anyways, and then, you know, I'm going to get beat up for it, right? It's not the easiest thing in the world. Once again here, go to your options here, block mode, random combo. Try it for yourself. See if you can do it. So once again here, just do your move, hit back forward. If you see it hit, and you go for it. Once again, I screwed up right there. There we go, got the hit. And if you see him block, then you don't do anything else, right? You just leave it as it is. It's difficult, but if you want to be with Shao Kahn, at least right now before there's any patches or anything, give it a shot is kind of a big deal. Because once again, you know, you'll get more damage than this, right? That's not nothing, right? That's like 20%, but you can get like a lot more damage than that. And you can't just blindly go 4-3 into your shadow charge unless you know it's going to hit, so give it a shot. So earlier in the video, we talked about stand 1 here and how we want to go back to it. And stand 1 is just a very viable anti-air move. So if we had the enemy here just to kind of, you know, jump at us like a crazy person here, you do got to be a little bit quick here. You got to be on top of the ball here. But stand 1 can knock them clear out of the air. And not only does it knock them clear out of the air, we get to convert, right? So here we are with 309 damage, which is a far sight greater than the regular rolled uppercut, right? So if you have the reactions here, and you can really smell it, because you gotta be on the ball here, right? Devora has one of the better jump-ins in the game too in this regard too, so you gotta be a little more on the ball against her than some of the other characters. But if you can catch people here, all you gotta do is a simple dash up here, dash 4, shoulder charge, dash again, and whatever under your choice, and you can get quite a bit of damage here. You got to be on the ball, and once again, it's harder on Devora than most people. Once again, Devora's safe for YouTube, right? So that's why we're practicing on her. But yeah, just give it a shot here. Just have the enemy jump at you and test your timings here and go with it. The hitbox for this is a lot better against airborne people than you think it is. And against a lot of characters that don't have as strong of a jump, then you're actually going to be able to be a little more sloppy and just kind of go from there. The reward is very big off the anti-air, a lot more than a regular uppercut. So something to really keep in mind. So Shao Kahn has 2 sources of plus frames. So he does his move and it's till his turn, not your turn. So that is stand 4-4, which is not as useful a lot of times unless you're just trying to get free chip damage in. If you know they're just going to stand and block. And we have forward 4. So forward 4 is kind of the better of the two. Also plus 6 frames. And has really strong range here. You can kind of just really crank in. If people are just kind of walking back nonstop trying to like whiff punish your forward 2-1 or something like that, you can just say nope and just kind of boot your way in, right? And once again, if they block, it's plus 6, your turn. So what does this mean? Now we talked about the whole forward 3 section here. So basically, long story short, if they block this and you do forward 3 right away, if they hit anything, they're beat. End of story. They have to just kind of groove on it. Now, you can get a little more fancy and go for, you know, other things, you know, like stand 1-3, which they could neutral duck and uppercut punish, or, you know, go for a throw attempt, which once again they can neutral duck and then try to punish you. So the one thing that keeps them really honest after this is the threat of the forward 3. So you can try the single hit confirm we talked about earlier, or you can just go right into forward 3-4, which is still safe on block. It's -7 on block, as you can see there. So the big thing is to establish, once you block this, you really want to establish, like, no, if you try to hit anything after this, I can forward 3 you, and then it's my turn, and you get smacked. You take either anywhere from like 20 to 30%, depending on you just want to go right for the string, or if you want to try for the hit confirm. And yeah, it's really strong. That, you can't down one out of it. You can't neutral duck uppercut out of it. You can't do nothing other than block. And once again, as we went over in some of the other sections, once it is established that they know they have to just sit there and block, that's when you can start throwing them. That's when you go for lows, you can go for overheads, all that fun stuff. That's when the pressure can really start being applied. And this as a tool is really strong for it. Also, once again here, now this is kind of predilected on the fact the enemy's not really going to do anything other than just wake up in place. Maybe they have no defensive bar or something. But if you hit them with the sweep, it's 28 frames advantage. It starts up in exactly 28 frames. So you can kind of do this and it's just going to connect. Now they can delay wake up, just so you know, and then your move will miss. Which is unfortunate, but all things being equal, just keep it in mind. It's always an option on the table as well. If you just want to go right into the boot and right into your plus frames, and if it connects, hey, well, damage is damage, right? Now, moving on to a general game plan here. So, as Shao Kahn, once again, as of the moment of making this video, he's not one of the better characters in the game, unfortunately, but he's not the most wretched character in the game either, right? He has his options here. Once again here, 4-2-1 has incredible range. You want to use that range. Never let the enemy sleep on the fact that you can kind of get a full combo from a lot further out than they can reach you. 4-3 is one of the best tools for him, and honestly, overall, one of the better strings in the game, in my opinion anyways. A nice easy can hit confirm here if you want to do the can combo. If you got these skills to hit confirm it as a single hit, it becomes way stronger, and that's really good. But yeah, the general game plan is just kind of work your way in. Once again here, Spear's not going to do it for you. It's just basically to take a trade with their fireball. You'll recover first because it has a very long hit stun. You can work your way in. And yeah, when you're roughly its range, unless they keep walking back, you do want to threaten with 4-2 or 4-4. And just work your way in. And that's kind of all there is to it. It's a pretty simple game plan. You just want to bulldog your way in. Now, when it comes to jumping, his jump 2 is one of the better jumps in the game, in my opinion. Now, jumping a lot is not necessarily always the smartest thing in this game, but it is an option you have on table because I find it's one of the stronger jumps. And once you start working your way in, you want to do stuff like 1-4. 1-4 is a very solid string. Yes, it is a high starter, unfortunately, but once again, you have the tools to kind of work around that. Easy hit confirm. It is negative on block like most strings, but it's not very negative on block. So then you can really start threatening with trying to steal turn back with down 1, or just, you know, block, whatever works for you. And on top of that, once again, we have one of the best down 4s. You can just kind of poke and just work their way to the corner. Eventually, they're gonna, you know, learn their lesson and block, and then you can just run forward and try to chuck them or something like that. It's a very simple game plan. He's not going to be a high-low mix master. He's not the master of set play or anything like that. It's a very straightforward game plan, but he has the tools to win, even if it is going to be a little bit rougher than some characters. He has the tools to win. He has a lot of strong buttons as we've gone over. Down 4 is really good. Back 4 is really good. You know, it's a solid knockdown into barely negative at all on block. And once you're on top of him, then you can start really applying pressure in a multitude of ways. And that's just basically the long and short of it. You have good buttons. You want to work your way in with those buttons. You want to let them not get away with stuff. Occasionally you want to use back 3. Back 3 is not safe on block. But if you know they're trying to be smart and try to just neutral duck your 4-2-1, back 3 puts an end to that real quick, set as a mid. So that will launch them, and from there, you get a bit of a combo follow-up. It's not going to be as strong as the 4-2-1 combo, but it is still something. It's just basically a tool to keep them honest, to stop them from just neutral ducking all your stuff. And yeah, just keep at it. Once you're in the corner, that's where it gets really strong, because as we went over in the jailing section, down 4 into the 1-4 combo is really strong. And on top of that, once again, as we went over in special moves, you want to steal turns with the hammer EX when you can. When you're doing block strings, if they try to just get really belligerent buttons, so if you notice you just doing 1-4 and then blocking every time, the stand 2 afterwards, the finished string might be what the doctor ordered, just that they just really let go of their buttons real quick. 1-2 into the spear also is safe on block if you want to do the 1-2 string hit confirm instead. And if they try to hit buttons right away and you go for the spear, that will beat them as well. Yes, you can flawless block them. The idea is not so much you're trying to worry about flawless block, because this is going to be the rare thing. You just want them to take their turn earlier than they are able to, and then try to smack them for taking their turn. In that regard, those are pretty good. But yeah, once again, I've said this a couple times, but just to really belabor the point, pretty straightforward game plan. Just get in, hit your buttons, use your stronger buttons, use the tools you have available to you, and then just work from there. And that is the conclusion of this guide. So unfortunately, as of the time making this guide, yeah, he's not the best character, right? But hopefully, as this guide is shown, he does have some tools. He does have stuff to work with. He's got some of the better pokes in the game here. His down 4 is really good. You know, Forward 2-1, despite it being high, is still really strong. The F3, if you got the execution for it, turns out to be one of his better overall tools, because it is a very fast mid at 10 frames, and you can single hit confirm from it. Plus, you know, it has the string as well, if you just want to work with that. He's got stuff to work with. Maybe it's not best in class, but he's not fully helpless. And hopefully in the future, NetherRealm will address some of his issues and make them just a little bit better. Anyways, that is it for this video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well. Go out and play some Mortal Kombat.